Greetings, my name is Ben, aka Downsizeit, and today I'm going to go over my Touman for the Battletech campaign, the Liberty / Carver 5 Battletech campaign that we're going to be doing on the channel. And for those that don't know, Touman is clan parlance for basically your force organization and the forces I'll be bringing. This is a force that that's molded throughout the years. About 7.5 years ago, I put together a supernova trinary. What that means is it consists of 15 mechs and 15 elemental points. Elementals are battle armor suits, kind of like an Iron Man suit, except maybe a little bit bigger. And clans organize all their things in units of 5. So a star is 5 mechs, a binary is 10 mechs, and a trinary is 15 mechs. And then when you add in elementals or any other combined arms, it could be aerospace, it could be tanks, etc., those then turn into novas. So a nova would be 5 mechs, 5 elementals in my case. A supernova, 10 mechs, 10 elementals, and then a supernova trinary, 15 mechs, 15 elemental points. And about 7.5 years ago, I put one together around the era of like 3150-ish, or not 31, 3050, 3060, after the clan invasion was over, and kind of during the FedCom Civil War leading up to it. During the Dark Age, which was like 3120-ish, or even like 3110 for the next several decades, I kind of retooled it a little bit. Now I've done some light retooling again for our 3155 campaign, but for the most part, it stayed largely the same, just upgrading some mechs here and there. And it all started off with my first character I made in Battletech back in pre-clan invasion. This was a campaign that Buster put on, and he also played, but he did a lot of the force, the Op 4s, and a lot of us here played in it, and we played a mercenary group. And my initial character is Maximus Reams, and that's a name actually that I came up with 22 years ago when I played one of my first RPGs. And it's kind of like the name that I've used for like my main character on a lot of things. Don't ask me where it came from. It's just this guy's kind of stuck around. But anyway, Maximus Reams, pre-clan invasion, a couple years before it happened in 3050, piloted a Hunchback 4G, heavily modified. It actually had a hatchet, Hunchback with a hatchet, and TSM. All of our mercenary mechs were very heavily modified and melee oriented. And then and I can't remember the name of the clan company. I think those record sheets are long gone. But he then, when the clans invaded, he was captured as a bondsman. What that means is clanners, whenever they captured forces, would actually take people as bondsmen. You could almost, it's like indentured servitude, or you could even say a form of slavery. But, was one of the rare mercenaries to be taken alive. Most mercenaries were either put out to pasture as Desgra, as wardens from the warden clans, or if you're a Crusader clan and you captured mercenaries here, you usually just executed outright. They hated mercenaries. But this one, my character, did in my own little narrative, was captured by Clan Wolf, was made a bondsman, and worked his way up the ranks to become a mech warrior. And eventually, after the trial of refusal with Jade Falcon, broke off with Con Felon Ward, formerly Felon Kell, who was also captured as a bondsman. Yes, I'm not very original. To form the Clan Wolf in Exile to maintain the Warden ways, because at that time, after the trial of refusal happened, Wolf went to the Crusader style, and I'm not a big fan of the Crusader mythos, so I preferred the Warden. So I then, as the storyline progresses, my character went with Con Ward to Wolf in Exile, where he was promoted to Star Commander and got his first true mech, a Timberwolf Prime, which I called the Howling Wolf. And that will become it basically became my ancestral mech for my Reams Legacy that I, in my narrative creation, and being customized over the years. And throughout the 3060s, the FedCom Civil War, then up through the Jihad, etc., Maximus Reams eventually rose to the rank of Star Colonel over a supernova trinary, the Howling Legion, that I put together. And after the Jihad, through the Republic of the Sphere, in the Dark Ages, I have not actually spelled out the history of my character's lineage for that, but a couple generations passed. So now we'll fast forward. Oh, and the Howling Wolf has been passed down. We'll fast forward now to about 3145. Clan Wolf in Exile is not doing good. It's a very big shadow of itself. But the Howling Legion still exists as a supernova trinary, and under the command of, at the time, Star Captain Natasha Reams, whose great-great-grandfather was Maximus Reams. And although it has been repaired, refit, partially destroyed, and having to be rebuilt many times over the past century, the Howling Wolf is still the ancestral mech handed down along the Reams Legacy. And for those that don't know, claims like, what is this about legacy and everything? Well, in Wolf in Exile, they kind of had a combination of, they had a lot of freebirths, which are people that are born normally, and trueborn, which clans call them trueborn, and they're vat grown. Most clanners are actually grown in a vat, genetically engineered from gene seed of great warriors in the past. So almost all clanners are vat grown, genetically engineered people. But Wolf in Exile had a more lenient approach because Con Ward, when he initially formed it, was also a trueborn or a freeborn that was a bondsman, and it was a mix. So in my own narrative, part of the legacy of the Howling Legion is that some of the members are, actually freebirths, but also a lot of them are also trueborn. So just a quick explanation there for those playing purists and be like, hey man, that doesn't make any sense. So around 3145, Natasha Reams got word that Khan Alark Ward, after reforming Clan Wolf into the Wolf Empire, had gone back to the Warden ways, and was also planning an assault on Terra to finally fulfill the vision of Alexander Kerensky and their birthright. And also his new tactics, basically adapting to the tactics of the Inner Sphere, relaxing some of the archaic restrictions on when it comes to combat that had been foiling the clans for nearly a century because the Inner Sphere learned fast. And recognizing how far Wolf in Exile fell, Star Colonel Natasha Reams took her supernova trinary, all of their families, all of their Aztecs, merchants, servant classes, etc., loaded them up in their Union Sea dropship, the Legion's Den, and traveled to the Wolf Empire, and basically offered Alaric Ward her supernova trinary in service to the Wolf Empire. She was forced to go through a trial of refusal to prove her worth, or I should say a circle of equals, to prove her worth as a clanner, as well as her entire force. They all succeeded through various degrees of success to prove their worth as clan warriors, and Alaric Ward then allowed the Howling Legion Supernova Trinary to exist as currently a detached trinary of the Beta Galaxy, the Shadow Wolves. Then the invasion of Terra happened 5 years later in 3150, and then the Howling Legion partook in many battles over the year to conquer the planet of Terra, and usually not on the front lines, usually as like a support trinary, usually like in the flanks, etc., where like the mainline battle forces would be doing the more heavy fighting of the Wolf Empire. The Howling Legion would play largely more supporting roles, but still distinguish themselves, as well in the trial of refusal by Jade Falcon that happened after the Republic of the Sphere forces were defeated. After that happened, and during the Reformation and the rebuilding on Terra over the next years or so, once the Capellans started invading others, the core world systems, Con Ward, or I should say Ilkhan Ward, needed to start rebuilding his forces and composing new units. And so, in reward for her service, Natasha Reams was promoted to Star Colonel and given command of a new battle cluster, the 22nd Wolf Battle Cluster, which she then just named the Howling Legion, and kept her original Supernova Trinary as the Command Supernova Trinary. and then was dispatched with all of Beta Galaxy to the Carver system. And while the remnant, the majority of the Beta Galaxy forces are fighting over Carver 4 and the other planets in the system, Natasha Reams won the bid to assault Carver 5 and take it in the name of the Ilkhan. And she won the bid by bidding. The bidding came down to her command, Supernova Trinary. And she issued a batchall to the commander of the garrison forces, the garrison battalion of Carver 5, and received her response and was given safe con to a location to where their forces will land and conduct the campaign to take Carver 5 from the Capellan forces. So, now with that history out of the way, let's go over the actual force organization, or my Touman. So, like I said, we are part of the Wolf Empire, Beta Galaxy, the Shadow Wolves, the 22nd Wolf Battle Cluster, the Howling Legion, and this is the command, Supernova Trinary. Under the command, let's start off with Star Colonel Natasha Reams. And she's piloting my own custom mech for my character that I use. I love that. By the way, the Timberwolf is my favorite mech. It's been my favorite mech ever since Mech Warrior 2. That was my introduction to Battletech. I didn't even know what Battletech was at the time. So yeah, so Battletech was, I loved Battletech and, or Mech Warrior 2 when it first came out, the Timberwolf on the cover, and I loved the Timberwolf playing the game, and it's been my favorite mech ever since. So this is my primary mech, the Howling Wolf, and this is going to be my only customized mech. You know, people have different opinions on whether to heavily customize or play stock mechs. I don't care either way, but I do like to play stock a lot now. That's kind of the phase I'm in, but I still like having my command Timberwolf being customized. So this is the current loadout for 3155. My Star Colonel, Natasha Reams, is a Gunnery 1 and a Piloting 1, so she is basically an ace pilot, even by clan standards. Very, very good. The Timberwolf is a 75-ton mech. It can walk 5 and run 8. And my loadout it has 2 large pulse lasers, which are probably one of my favorite weapon systems in the game. 2 improved ATM-9s. I love advanced tactical missiles, but improved advanced tactical missiles are probably actually my favorite weapon system in the game. What makes them improved is that they act like streak weapons, and streak weapons don't fire unless you actually hit, so you don't waste ammo. And when they do hit, they hit with all of their weapons. You don't have to roll on the cluster chart, so it's really nice. And for that missile system, I have 1 ton of ATM-9 ammo, or standard ATM-9 ammo that does 2 damage per missile, and 1 ton of HE, high explosive ammo, that does 3 damage per missile. So 7 rounds each that can be fired. Then it also comes with 2 ER small lasers and 2 ER micro lasers. And being a clan mech, it comes with some stuff standard. It has an XL fusion engine clan. All these are clan tech, by the way. Not much mixed tech going on with my force. Double heat sinks, ferrofibrous armor, and endo steel structure. So that is my commanding officer. And this is part of the Command Nova, by the way. This is the command. She obviously commands the Command Nova of the Supernova Trinary. So, the second point in the Command Nova is Warrior Cade Ono. And he is a Gunnery 2 and I'm piloting 2. And he is piloting a Savage Wolf Charlie. It's also a 75-ton mech. It can move 5'8". And this one is armed with 2 ER large lasers, 2 ER medium lasers, 2 medium pulse lasers, and 2 LRM-15s with Artemis 5 fire control. And what Artemis does, it gives you a bonus to your scatter chart, and Artemis 5 is even better. It gives you +3 to the scatter chart, but also a +1 to hit when you fire. But it can be disrupted by ECM. Interesting thing about Savage Wolves, I love Savage Wolves. They're probably my second favorite. Not probably, they are my second favorite mech type in the game. They have double XL fusion engines, which means they run hot. Standing still generates 2 heat. Running generates 6 heat. Walking generates 4. But they also have some really nice add-ons. They have armored gyros, which means each gyro crit takes 2 hits to destroy. And they come with ferro lamellar armor, which is just amazing armor. Basically, every 5-point group of damage that is taken is reduced by 1. So if you take 15 points of damage, you actually only take 12. So it's a really awesome armor, but also really expensive. So point number 3 is Warrior Idris Ward, who's piloting a Savage Wolf Alpha, and this is outfitted with 2 ER large lasers, 4 small pulse lasers, and 2 ATM-9s, regular ATM-9. Like I said, the rest of my mechs are stock. I did not do any modifications on these, so this is just how they come. And it comes with plenty of ammo of all 3 types. The third type is ER ammo that will go out even further range to fire, but only does 1 damage per missile. Then for point number 4, we have Warrior Eve Kerensky, who is a gunnery 2 and a piloting 3. And she's piloting a Nova Sierra. By far away my favorite Nova variant. This is a 50-ton mech. It can walk 5, run 8, but it can also jump 5. And it comes with 6 medium pulse lasers, 4 machine guns, 1 anti-missile system, and an active probe. I'm a very, very solid skirmisher mech. I really love these mechs. Then for point 5 of the Command Nova, we have Warrior Jen Fletcher, who's a gunnery 2 piloting 3. And she is piloting a Viper Foxtrot, also my favorite Viper variant. I love Vipers because they can move 8-12-8, very, very fast, lots of versatility. And this variant comes with 3 ER medium lasers and 2 heavy machine gun arrays. And machine gun arrays are really awesome, is because all the machine guns in an array, there are 4 in each of these arrays, so 8 total machine guns. Each array of 4, when you roll the scatter chart and you fire, all the rounds hit the same location, so the shots aren't scattered around. So you can really do some focused fire on locations to try to get crits, etc., especially on unarmored locations. And then, lastly, for the Command Nova, have 5 points of Elemental 2s. I love Elemental 2s. They are ground bound, no jump jets, but they move speed 4 on the ground. They each have an anti-personnel Gauss rifle, and the main thing why I love them is that they have battle armor boosted my armor, and this is basically battle armor's version of triple strength my armor, which doubles physical damage. So what this means is that whenever elementals do leg attacks, normally they do 4 points of damage with an automatic possible crit on the leg. For elemental 2s, though, that means if they're at full strength, they do 14 points of damage to the leg plus an automatic possible crit. So I really like that. Alright, moving on to my Assault Nova. And this is commanded by Natasha Reams, executive officer of the entire 22nd Wolf Battle Cluster, Star Captain Jace Reams, which just so happens to be her twin I made up. And he has actually had to go through several trials of refusal and circles of equals, basically to prove his worth, and that his position wasn't just given to him because, you know, his sister is the Star Colonel. And he has had to constantly prove himself because of that. And some resentment of having to live in her shadow. So anyway, he is, he is commanding the Assault Nova. He is a Gunnery 1 piloting 2. He is piloting a Tomahawk 2 Prime. And by the way, my Assault Nova is an Assault Nova. This is designed just for, not for speed, but just for maximum destructive potential. These are all big, beefy boys. And the Tomahawk 2s, I think I like Tomahawk 2s better than Direwolves. It's almost a tie as far as my favorite assault mechs. I love both of these. This is a 100-ton mech. It can walk 3, run 5. This thing is armed with 3 ER large lasers, 2 HAG-30s. HAG stands for Hyper Assault Gauss, and 2 medium pulse lasers. And this thing just has all the latest tech in it. It has what's called endo-composite structure, which just makes it even lighter and frees up more space, so you can jam-pack even more weapons into it. So lots of weapons, but also not a lot of heat support, so you have to be careful how you fire your weapons with Tomahawks. Because if you alpha strike, you could be in trouble. Sometimes it might be worth it. So, in point number 2 of the Assault Nova is Warrior Ava Kerensky, who is a Gunnery 2, piloting 3, and she is piloting Direwolf Widowmaker. Now, not the original Widowmaker. So, the Widowmaker was Natasha Kerensky, one of the greatest mech warriors who ever lived. That was her mech. And painted in the classic black and red of the Black Widow Company, the 13th Wolf Guard. And that was destroyed when she was killed in a totally bullshit moment in narrative, part of my franchise. Those that know. But anyway, Ava Kerensky has always been inspired by her blood name that she earned of the progenitor of the many Kerenskys, and one of them being Natasha, and decided to customize her own mech in the loadout of Natasha Kerensky's, which is how I justify having a Widowmaker in this force, even though it's 100 years later. It's just a direwolf that she's customized to be like the Widowmaker. Anyway, I'm digressing too much. So direwolves, again, awesome. You could say the titans of the battlefield, and they have been ever since they first came on the scene in 3050. 100 tons, they walk 3, run 5. And this version has 2 ERPPCs, 2 large pulse lasers, an Ultra AC-20, 2 ER medium lasers, and 1 ER small laser. Just tons of firepower. But of course, managing your heat is always, the challenge with these big, heavy mechs. Excuse me. So for point number 3, we have Warrior Adrian Kell, who is a Gunnery 2 and piloting 3. And he is piloting a Tomahawk 2 Charlie. And this thing is armed with 3 large pulse lasers and 6 long-range missile 15s, LR-15s. So definitely a missile boat, but with 3 large pulse lasers can also just deal out direct straight damage as well. Then for point number 4, we have another direwolf, piloted by Warrior Martin Vickers, who is a Gunnery 3 piloting 2. And this is a direwolf Echo model. I think it's the most advanced direwolf currently in canon as far as tech. You can see it's 3145 tech base. Although you might not be able to see that, I don't have that on my cards. It's walking 3, running 5. It is armed with 8 medium pulse lasers, 2 LB-10X ACs, and LB-10X are basically the LBX series are basically shotguns. You have cluster ammo and slug ammo that you can fire, a Streak LRM-10, and a Watchdog combined electronic warfare system. Or might be Combat Electronic Warfare System. I forget what SUSE fully stands for. And then lastly, in point 5, we have Warrior Jasmine Ming, who is a Gunnery 2 piloting 3. She's piloting a Warhawk Charlie, which is my favorite Warhawk model. It comes with 2 ERPPCs, 2 large pulse lasers, 1 targeting computer, and 1 flamer. And then lastly, for the elementals to support the Nova, we have 5 micropulse fire elemental points that are 3 2s, basically 3 gunnery, 2 anti-mech. And what that means is that they're armed with a micropulse laser. They have 1 SRM-2, but it's a one-shot, so only 1 salvo. And what the fire means is that they're immune to heat damage. So one thing that can be devastating to elementals and infantry is heat-based weaponry, like flamers, or plasma cannons, or infernal ammo for missiles. But the fire, what that makes them immune to that kind of damage. This is just me learning over the years of playing here locally, Clan versus Inner Sphere. My friends learned to start utilizing, fire-based weaponry or heat-based weaponry to try to slow down my elementals. So I actually had to adapt and be like, you know what, I'm going to need to start using some fire-proof elementals. So that's why I like them so much. Alright, and lastly we now have my Striker Nova, under the command of Star Commander Marcus Shaw. And you guys have seen this already, or at least a slight version of it, in my second bat rep I did with Buster and Rob. And this is my Striker Nova with all of my latest models that I've purchased. But the latest was like 4 years ago when I bought these to update my Striker Nova of what it used to be. It used to be completely different. So anyway, Star Commander Marcus Shaw pilots a Warwolf Prime. He is a Gunnery 1, piloting 2. Warwolves are 75 tons. Basically, the spiritual Warwolves and Savage Wolves are both spiritual successors to the Timberwolf. Savage Wolf was developed by Lee Diamond Shark, but the Warwolf was directly developed by Clan Wolf. But anyway, it walks 5, runs 8, jumps 3. It has a Gauss rifle, 2 LRM-10s, a targeting computer, a laser anti-missile system, and a tag. Point number 2 in the Striker Nova is Warrior Angel Valdor, who's piloting a Warwolf Charlie, also 583, and it has a large pulse laser, 2 ATM-9s with all 3 types of ammo, and a targeting computer and a laser anti-missile system. Point number 3 is Warrior Rachel Wolf, who is a Gunnery 2 piloting 2 in my 3rd Warwolf, this time a hotel variant. Comes with a Gauss rifle, 2 improved heavy large lasers, a supercharger, and 2 coolant pods. Improved heavy large lasers are run very hot, which is why it has those coolant pods, which allows you to flush your heat. Since it has 2 of them, it can do that twice per game. And then for the light and fast mechs in this, which are actually my favorite light mechs in the game now, are Wolfen. So point number 4 is Warrior Tanya Ward, Gunnery 2 piloting 3, piloting a Wolfen Bravo. This thing can go fast, it walks 10, runs 15, if using the supercharger it can go up to 20, jumps 6, and comes with only 1 weapon, an ER large laser with a targeting computer, and then as I said, a supercharger, an ECM suite, and but also comes with stealth armor, which helps it reduce its it makes it hard to hit at medium and long range, but also generates lots of heat. You also see it also has a double XL fusion engine and XL gyros, which means it's easy to crit it out and kill it, and runs even hotter. Oh, and I forgot to mention, on my Warwolves, one cool thing about them is that they have reactive armor, which means they have missile and artillery damage, but there's potential that the armor on a location could be blown off if certain dice numbers are rolled. And lastly, we have in point 5 Warrior Atris Fetla Draw, who is a Gunnery 3 piloting 2. He is piloting a Wolfen Hotel, which walks 10, runs 15, and is armed with an ECM suite, 1 improved heavy large laser, and 2 improved heavy medium lasers, and of course as well stealth armor. And then the elementals that are supporting this Striker Nova are also the same as the Assault Nova, 5 micro pulse fire elemental points with 3 gunnery, 2 anti-mech. So that is my full Wolf Touman of the Howling Legion. I will be partaking in this campaign. Going up against, I believe it's going to be a reinforced, I don't know the exact force yet, I think it's going to be a reinforced augmented battalion that Buster and Rob are putting together. Be a total BV for the campaign, because you guys might be asking, what is your BV value? Battle value is what you use to help balance games and balance forces against each other. For the entire campaign, it's 80,000 BV, and my force comes in at 79,929. So 80,000 is the limit that Buster and Rob are having to build their force to. And now we're not going to be building all these forces together at once to go at each other. I mean, that would take days of filming. Not just filming, just playing normally, days and days just to get that battle done. So we're going to be taking pieces of our forces to engage with each other, and we're also going to be doing sustained damage and stuff. So we have to be, you don't want to just go balls out. It's like suicide mission, because if your unit gets killed or you lose the mech, that mech is now gone. You can't use it for the rest of the campaign, and damage might carry over if you don't have time to repair it, etc. So the neat thing about this campaign is having to be tactical and strategic with how you play on the board and how you maintain your forces throughout the campaign. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect. All right, well, I hope you guys, hope this was informative for you guys and you enjoyed it. I'm going through my own little personal narrative I created for myself in the universe of Battletech over the years. Probably a decade now I've been putting this narrative together. And looking forward, be on the lookout in the next couple weeks. Again, I don't know when they'll have it done, but Buster and Rob will be making their own force org, outlining all of their forces that they are going to be, that is garrisoning the planet Liberty, aka Carver 5, for this campaign. So thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take it easy.